What do you mean by globalization? What are the characteristics of globalization? Globalization is integration of an economy with other economies along with the free flow of trade and capital. Process of globalization is the result of historical factors, role of international organizations like IMF and WTO, liberalization and privatization, and technological innovations. Characteristics of globalization. Firstly, global economy is one of the important features of globalization. In the process of globalization, global economy promotes international harmony. Secondly, global movement is another feature of globalization. It has been launched to eradicate economic inequality, environmental issues, and armaments. Thirdly, establishment of worldwide institutions is another feature of globalization. Globalization has brought the countries of the world closer to each other. Fourthly, competitive economy is another important aspect of globalization. The developing countries are trying to compete with the developed countries. The developing countries are trying to improve their performance, products, and industries to compete with the industry of developed countries. Fifthly, technological innovations is another features of globalization. Next question, examine the responsible factors for the emergence of the process globalization. Firstly, information resolution, information revolution is an important aspect of globalization. Information technology has brought countries closer. Secondly, globalization has led to the increase of technological inventions, which has made easier for interconnectedness with the globe. Thirdly, globalization also involves the free flow of trade across the globe. The World Trade Organization (WTO) is an example for expansion of trade across the countries. Fourthly, the multinational corporation (MNC) are particularly important for understanding the process of globalization. The MNCs produce market services in countries other than their own for enhancing their profit and are oriented to the global market. Fifthly, competitive economy is another aspect of globalization. The developing countries are trying to compete with the developed countries for their improvement of various means. Next question, explain any four consequences of globalization. Firstly, political consequences. Political consequences are positive and negative both as. Firstly, negative aspects. First point, globalization has reduced the capacity of the state to perform welfare functions due to the growth of MNCs. The functions of the government has been limited. Second point, globalization has greatly affected the decision-making power of the state. Now let's positive aspects. First point, in developing countries, state is still dominating because state is the premier and sole basis of political community. Second point, due to the globalization, states are able to collect information about individuals. Third point, state has full power to maintain law and order. Defense is the major responsibility of the state. Fourth point, competitive economy is very useful for developed and developing countries. Next point, economic consequences. Economic consequences are also positive and negative. View, firstly, positive aspects. First point, it involves greater economic flows among various countries. Second point, it has enhanced trade in commodities among countries. Third point, the restrictions on the imports and movement of capital have also been reduced. Next, negative aspects. First point, it has created diverse opinion all over the world, so as to benefit only a small section of society. Second point, it does not have equality at par the movement of the people across the globe. Example, developed countries have carefully guarded their borders with policies to ensure job security to their own citizens. Third point, cultural consequences. First point, culture is not static but changeable with the change of time. Due to globalization, each culture has influenced others' culture. Second point, globalization has almost enriched every culture. It has merely made some additions in the customs and fashions of every culture. It has not destroyed the basic features of any culture. Third point, globalization broadens our cultural outlook and promotes cultural homogenization. Fourth point, cultural heterogeneization leads to each culture becoming more different and distinctive. It creates intermingling of one culture with another. Next question, what has been India's experience in resisting globalization? In India, resistance to globalization has come from various quarters. Left wings have protested economic liberalization through political parties as well as foreign like Indian Social Forum. Further, social movements, trade union movements, workers' movements, and farmers' agitation against monopoly of multinational corporations are also some forms of resistance to globalization. Patenting of certain plants like neem by American and European firms has also generated widespread opposition in India. Further political activities have also resisted globalization. This has come in the form of objection to various cultural influences, which includes availability of foreign TV channels provided by cable networks, celebration of Valentine's Day, and westernization of the dressing tasted. Next question, what is worldwide interconnectedness? What are its components? The worldwide interconnectedness implies to interlink the world through free flow of goods and services, technology, ideas, and people across the globe to extend globalization. This contains three components. Firstly, capital flow. It is the flow of resources through loans or business investments among the countries. Secondly, trade flows of goods. It refers to exchange of goods among countries. Third point, labor flow. It refers to brain drain by creating favorable conditions for employment. Next question, how has globalization impacted on India and how in India in turn impacting on globalization? Impact of globalization on India. First point, more new jobs have been created in the MNCs like cell phones, fast food, etc. Second point, India is playing a crucial role among developing countries in trade and commerce by making some companies multinational themselves, example Tata Motors, Rainbow, etc. Third point, foreign direct investments have also been increased. Fourth point, it has invited inflow of private foreign capital and export-oriented activities. India in turn impacting. First point, through responding to 1991 financial crisis, Indian economy was liberalized to attract foreign direct investment. Secondly, India introduced new trade policy reforms to remove tariffs and restrictions imposed on imports. Third point, under industries, it abolished licensing system exempting few specified industries only. Fourth point, to promote globalization, India has adopted an open economy. Next question. Arguments for and against of globalization. Firstly, arguments for globalization. First point, it increases in the volume of trade in goods and services. Secondly, it attracts private foreign capital investment. Third point, it creates new job opportunities. Fourth point, it raises standard of living. Fifth point, it increases production efficiency and healthy competition. Argument against globalization. First point, globalization has not generated much more employment opportunities because it needs highly skilled people only. Second point, the foreign companies focus on their profit orientation projects only in place of social welfare. Third point, it has widened income disparities by making the rich richer and the poor more poorer. Fourth point, even farmers are supposed to be well educated if they want to use modern methods of cultivation. Next question, what is World Social Forum? The World Social Forum is a global platform which brings together a wide coalition composed of human rights activists, environmentalists, labor, youth and women activists opposed to neoliberal globalization. The first WSF meeting was organized in Port Elgrid, Brazil in 2001. The fourth WSF meeting was held in Mumbai in 2004, and the seventh WSF meeting was held in Nairobi, Kenya in January 2007. Next question, when did the process of globalization begin? In India, 1991 or in 1990?